I guess I will talk about what happened to me in the Navy, even though I really don't want to. Um, Start off pretty good. I'll start off in MEPS, which is when you first join the military. Um, my recruiter, Clifton Bland, was he was a great recruiter, and I was so enthralled about joining the military, even though I wasn't at first. I never really was that guy to join the military. I was really going to go to school for football. I had plenty of scholarships to do it. I just didn't get the school that I wanted to go to, so I felt like the military was the best avenue to get to that school to play for them. So I recruited like 20 other people to join with me, and that gave me the rank of E3 when I first joined in. When I got there to boot camp, I became the RPOC, which is the leader of the division, and I led our division to greatness. but after that, I got selected to go to the Presidential Honor Guard, the United States Ceremonial Guard, and there I was a casket bearer where I worked at the Arlington National Cemetery. I was fresh out of high school, so it took me some adjusting, but the ceremony guard gave me that adjustment that I needed as far as what the military needed me to be. My military bearing and the way to conduct myself. So it really settled me down from my high school years, which I wasn't really wild, but I just didn't know anything about the military life. So after that, I went TAD, which is a temporary assignment duty, to Virginia. I was on the USS Laboon, where I became a E4. I took my test in ceremony guard, not knowing anything about my rate or anything other than military bearing, and I passed and became an E4. They sent me TAD, and I went to the USS Laboon, and I excelled there. People were amazed that I didn't go to school because I just knew so much about the job from what people were telling me and reading it on my own. And I was passing the qualifications at the top, and then I got permanent duties stationed to Everett, Washington, the USS Abraham Lincoln, CVN 72. When I got there, the first thing somebody told me was, "Oh man, welcome to the USS Career Killer." And I was like, "Not me. My career going great. I'm setting records. I want to get a big chest plate. I want to be the youngest chief ever. I want to be the youngest this." I had goals for myself in the military. I wanted to be the most outstanding sailor I could be. I wanted to make record. Wanted to be in the record books for being an outstanding sailor. So I get there and everything's going great. I was the type of person that when I got there, they put me in charge of people to test me out. Now, I had people older than me. I'm 19 years old. I'm a petty officer at 19. Well, I was actually 18 as a petty officer. And there were people 26, 27, and older. And I had to tell them what to do. Also, people my age. And I didn't have that respect because I was so young. Seeing that I came from the ceremony guard and I had the military bearing, I quickly gained their trust because I showed them that I could work just as hard and do the exact same stuff that I'm asking them to do. I was there in the field with them instead of just pointing. And I was assigned to wax the floor one day, and I was waxing the floor, and I asked who all stayed on the ship. I was the only one, so everybody else had families, and I was just like, go home. And I did the floor by myself. The next morning, I barely got finished before the day started, but I finished it. The next morning, they were so amazed by the P-Way, they asked what happened, and I told them we all stayed up all night doing it, and they gave everybody else the day off again. and they made me stay though because they had other work for me to do. But yet and still, I didn't throw them under the bus like they didn't do anything because we were a team, and I wanted to show them that I'm about the team. So we get a new chief, young chief. His name is Chief Heineman. Well, was he senior chief at the time? He was Chief Heineman at the time when he got there. And I'm on watch. I really can't tell you what I was on watch doing, but I was, as an operations specialist, we were those guys who was in that dark room with that red light with the little screen that circles, and everybody think it beeps, but it doesn't. So I was on watch, and he came up, and he was trying to get to know everybody, I guess. And when he got to me, he was like, "Oh, so you're Holt?" And I said, "Yes, sir." I can't give him eye contact like I want to because on this watch, you have to always look at the screen. You can never take your eyes away from the screen because you could run into a whale or enemy ships or anything could be out there in that water. And it's your job to be the navigation system to watch and make sure. So I'm thinking it's a test anyway. So I'm not even looking at him, and I'm doing my watch like I'm supposed to. And he was like, "Oh, so you're Holt. You're the one that was in the ceremonial guard, huh? You don't look like much to me." And off rip, I'm just like, "Well, sir, I'm just like everybody else. I'm just a regular sailor trying to make it." And so he says, "You know what? I see you didn't go to A school. I want you to come do this MO board for me, which is a maneuverability board." And I learned how to do this on that ship I told you about earlier, the USS Laboon, where I went to AD to. And when you do it on a smaller ship, you have to do it in less than a minute and a half because the ship moves way faster and the collision time will be sooner. So you have to be able to do that board way faster than you would on a bigger ship. In order to do this, you have to kind of cut corners, but it's still accurate and it comes out the same. So when I did this to him, for him, as soon as I finished, he's like, "It's wrong. You did it too fast. It's wrong." And I was just like, "What?" "Well, okay. Yes, sir. I'll go back to my watch." So I went back to my watch, discouraged and disappointed in myself. And my the OS2 of the watch, OS2 Haslam, he was like, "Let me check that." So he went through and did the whole long way with the protractor and the ruler and all that, and he was like, "You know what? It's right. Just like always, Holt. Good job." And that made me feel better, but it made the chief snarl at me. He was just like, and then he left. And after that, I had another chief there. I'm not gonna give his name until he tells me I can. But he was, we were the same race, and he was my mentor, and he was looking out for me, and he told me that they're gunning for me. You're too smart for them. They don't like that. They're talking about getting rid of me because I'm looking out for you, not just you, but all of us. And by us, he meant the dark-skinned people on the ship because nobody else looks out for us. So he was like, "I'm looking out for y'all. I'm looking out for everybody, but mainly us. And they're gunning for you especially. Your credentials are intimidating." And I was like, "Well, sir, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna keep doing what they ask of me. I'm gonna go exceed it. I'm gonna go over and beyond." And he's like, "Yeah, just keep doing that." He's like, "And if you have any problems, contact me." But I couldn't because he was in Iraq, and I was always on the water, so it was hard to keep contact. During this time, after he left, Chief Heineman got promoted to a senior chief, and he was put over our division. And that is when everything turned sideways. Man, we went from a half and half division as far as races was concerned, with the minorities being half our division and Caucasians being the other half, to being 1/4 minority over Caucasian. It was instant. He was getting rid of us like it was nothing. We're just making up little instances. Like, okay, for one instance, I overslept on the bar. I overslept on the bars, but he said I was AWOL. And the reason why this happened was because I had orders to Iraq, and when on these orders, I was gonna get capped to first class. So I would have been a 20-year-old first class, and there is no such thing as a 20-year-old first class. Chief Brigham came in and he was like, Holt, I'm gonna look out for you now. He was Caucasian as well. He's like, I'm gonna look out for you. Now, you don't really want these orders. I was like, yes sir, I do. He was like, nah, you don't really want these orders, man. You should just cancel them right now. And I was like, but sir, I need to go. Like, I want to fight for my country, and this is what I signed up for. And he was like, nah, you just had a daughter. You don't want to do that. And I was like, well, actually, it would help me monetarily for my daughter, and it'll give her something to be proud of. And he was like, well, Holt, I tried. You sure you don't want to cancel it? And I was like, I'm sure. And he's like, I tried. All right. And I didn't understand what that meant at the time, but I looked up the laws, and legally in the Navy, the only way you can lose your orders is if you cancel them yourself, or is if you get in trouble by NJP, which is a Navy judicial punishment. So they made up a Navy judicial punishment in order for me to lose those orders so that I couldn't get the rank. And then they tried to take my rank, and he took it wrong, trying to rush it. Back to this case though, there was a witness that came to the barge and saw me sleep. He went back and reported to Senior Chief Heineman that I was sleeping on the barge. Senior Chief told him not to wake me up. His name was Seaman Bourgeois. Senior Chief told him not to wake me up and leave me there, knowing that I had just worked super hard the night before. So when I finally woke up and showed up, they were just like, where were you? We were looking for you everywhere. And I was like, I was on the bar asleep. And he's like, no, you weren't. I sent somebody to go look for you and they didn't see you. And I went and asked Bourgeois afterwards, and he told me this story that I'm telling you now, that he went to look for me. Senior Chief told him not to wake me up. And when we were going to go to mast for that, which is like court system, when we were going to mast for that, Senior Chief sent him to a school just so he couldn't be there to witness for me. So when that happened, I'm an E3 now, and I'm still doing the same stuff I was doing before. I'm still an outstanding sailor. I'm still making sure that my vision's taken care of and that we look good at all times. That I'm having the back of my mentees now, because I've been chosen to be a mentor by a lot of people. And Senior Chief's like, he's acting like he's recognizing what I'm doing. He's like, you know what, that second class test is coming back up. I hope you make it. You're doing a way better job than you were before. You're doing all this good stuff, and I can't wait for you to make it. And I'm like, you know what, maybe he's changing. Maybe he actually likes me. Maybe he's actually not out to get me anymore. So I go to take my test. I go down and get my test information, and they say, you're already at E5. There's no need for you to take the test. I'm excited. I'm like, yes, okay, I'm at E5, yay. Let me go tell the chief. He said he can't wait for me to make it. I'm gonna go tell him I'm already E5, yeah. So I go up there and I'm like, yo, chief, they said that I'm already E5. I don't have to take tests. He said, what? Oh no, this is wrong. We going down here right now. We gotta change this. So he went to the personnel and tried to get them to change me back to an E3. And then they said, that's impossible. And he was heated. He went and checked out my personnel record after that. And I noticed some slight changes, but it wasn't really nothing major to me. There was a couple EPs changed. which are early promotes, which I can use for points towards my test. But this is just small stuff compared to how I got out. This is a long story, that's why I really didn't want to tell it, because there's a lot of details I'm leaving out. There's a lot of details I'm leaving out, because I could bring up personal stories of me seeing him do this to other people before it even happened to me. And basically, how I got out is, I was on watch. He sent NCIS for me, and they claimed that I was the kingpin's right-hand man, selling pills. I wasn't. I never have, so I told them I didn't. And they were telling me that they had proof, and I said, well, by law, if you have proof, you have to show me. And they showed me two people's statements. Two people I didn't even know, statements stating that I was selling pills. So I'm looking like, what are y'all, this has holes in it. I'm ready to go. Let me go. I gotta go back to the watch. And they were like, no, we can't let you go. You're not going nowhere. You're not going nowhere until you give us what we want. And I'm like, dude, I gotta go to watch. People are counting on me right now. And they were like, no, your watch is taken care of. People know where you are. We're gonna get to the bottom of this. And I was held in interrogation for like 10 hours. I was in interrogation for 10 hours. And within that interrogation, I was being harassed, and they were telling me how I was, it was just bad. They ended up asking to go to my rack, which is where I stayed. It's the bed I sleep on, and it's like a locker as well. And they asked to go to my rack, and I told them they couldn't go to my rack without me being there, because by law, if you state that, then they can't. So I stated that to them, and one of them decided to go off on their own and get my stuff out of my rack without my permission or me being there. And they came with a bunch of my stuff. They were like, oh, what are these? What are these directions here? It says, go left and keep straight and turn right at the sign. And then you go and then this. And X marks the spot, huh? I was just like, sir, those are directions for Pokemon. I'm teaching somebody how to play, and they asked me how to get a certain item, and I just wrote all the stuff down for them. And they were like, oh, well, I see you got some rap lyrics right here. Yeah, and I was like, it's freedom of press, freedom of speech. I can say whatever I want to. A lot of rappers say things that aren't true. And my lyrics weren't even incriminating anyway. It had nothing to do with the case. Third thing they brought up was this little football-shaped pill. Oh, what's this? What's this? I don't know. It's yours. It came out your pocket. Oh no, we got this out your rack. Impossible. I just had a rack inspection. Before I went on watch. If that was there, they would have found it, and I'd already be in the brig. Well, we're gonna run some tests on this, and if it comes back, we're gonna know. I'm like, okay, run your test, but it's not mine anyway. I don't even know if you got that from my rack. I wasn't there when you went through my rack. So eventually, they let me go. They made me sign a statement saying that I knew nothing, and then they let me go. This whole time, before I asked to see my jag, they were acting like they didn't hear me. So, for one, I wasn't supposed to be saying anything anyway, because they didn't even bring me my legal representation. Afterwards, I go to my berthing. I'm tired, because I have been here for like 10 to 11 hours now. As soon as I get in there, people are looking at me like, ooh, man. They're like, Chief looking for you. He want to see you right now. So I go up there, and see Chief Heineman is up there, was mad. Where were you? I was like, you sent somebody to go get me, to tell me to go to this room. You were there this whole time? I was like, yes, sir. You didn't send somebody to go check and see if I was there. You just assumed that I was lollygagging and skating around. And he was like, you should have told somebody. You should have told somebody. They wouldn't let me leave. I can't tell anybody if they don't let me leave. So I go, he says he's going to try to help me, give me a jag and all this. That never happens. Ever happens. I get in trouble instantly. I go to mass. I go to my mass date. I didn't even know it. Somebody came and got me while I was working and said, hey, you have captain's mass. Go get ready. So now I have to go get an outfit. I have to go get a uniform. It's not pressed. It looks bad because I didn't even know I had this event coming up. Nobody told me about it. So now I'm looking like a bad sailor because I didn't have a pressed and ready. I didn't have a pressed and ready uniform already because I was working hard. So when I went there, I still haven't seen my JAG representation. My JAG wasn't there in the mass, and I go in, they already telling me, stand attention. Like, I had nothing to say. They didn't ask me anything. They didn't ask me anything. They were just telling me everything I did. And Senior Chief Heineman got up and he stood there and he was like, well, Holt, we just, he was supposed to be speaking on my behalf, but he belittled me. And he made me seem like I was just a bad person in the eyes of the ship. So they put me on restriction and they took my money. I had already been on the water for 3 months during in-serve. So after this, I'm doing 40 more days on the ship, stuck. And it's mentally messing with me more and more every day because I know I didn't do this and I can't even seek legal representation. And people I thought were my friends were turning me against me. I was by myself on the ship. And Senior Chief kept sending me down a dark little holes to clean stuff up whenever my JAG representation would show up. And apparently he never knew where I was whenever they came around. And then afterwards he come get me, oh, your JAG just left. Now, so that's a lot, man. It's a lot. Cause I remember times talking to him and he just told me I was an infection to his Navy and he didn't want me here because I'm polluting people with ideas of, because I was trying to tell people to be great and to achieve greatness, and he's telling me that I was telling people to reach higher than what they were capable of. And I'm an infection to his Navy, and he needs me out of his Navy. And he's gonna get me out, and when he does, he's gonna make sure that I never succeed ever in anything in life. So, with that being said, I get out on a drug charge in the Navy. And for one, when you get out on a drug charge in the Navy, that's an automatic dishonorable discharge. Why do I have an OTH? So, and my main thing is, who do I even talk to about this? Nobody even wants to listen. Like, when you do talk to people about it, they can't even do anything. It's like nothing can be done. So he gets to skate free. Now he's a Master Chief somewhere in Virginia, reaping the benefits. Him and his family are living good, and they just ha ha he he. While I'm over here suffering, I can't get benefits. I was homeless when I got out. I didn't even get no voucher because he checked out my personnel and my medical record, so they didn't have no record of me being in the military. So I couldn't even get no voucher to go home because they couldn't find my records. So I'm homeless for weeks until I run into somebody who notices me and they let me stay with them. And then they let me use their phone so I can call my people and get me back home. If it wasn't for that, I'd be one of these homeless veterans on the street right now holding up a sign. So, what I'm trying to say is there's injustice in the military system. It needs to be looked at.
There's a lot of corruption going on, and it's getting brushed under the rug, and people are scared to say something about it. And my story is way deeper than what I'm telling you. It's just that once you say it so much, it's just like, what's the point anymore? Because nobody's gonna help anyway. And that's just how I feel about it. But if somebody can help, man, that'd be awesome. Because I'm not the only person out here that's been done like this, and it feels like you can't breathe, you can't speak. It's like when you wake up in a dream and you want to move, but you can't. You can't talk. You try to speak out. It's like that pressure that you feel on you as the military or the government, and you just want to speak out against it. But no matter how hard you try, you can't.